What's going on, True Gamers? True Gamer Opinion here. Bringing you a new video.
What up, guys? Call of Duty eSport athlete here, 8 thoughts.
War II era shooters in the Battlefield franchise.
What's up?
This is a series that manages to make some really cozy feeling to every firefight. They manage to make it where even if you don't particularly care about a certain era or its weaponry, you can still feel excitement as you try to rush that next big point or melt that next opponent. But now,
this game is a fucking mess. It's probably not a stretch to say that Battlefield V has been the most controversial game of 2018. Ever since the first trailer dropped back at E3 2018, there pretty much hasn't been a single day that passes where someone didn't write an article, upload a video, or rant on Twitter about the way DICE is handling the game. And to be fair, it's understandable why such a large chunk of the Battlefield community is lashing out against DICE. They've come off as an arrogant, politically correct company that's trying to make their game appeal to everyone, rather than just focusing on the people that actually buy and play their games. Then when faced with the overwhelming backlash of hand-fisting their political message into their World War II shooter game finally became too much, Patrick Soderlund, I don't fucking know. The executive vice president of EA, DICE's Dark Master, decided that the best course of action for dealing with this was to just tell people who don't like it not to buy the game. Because that's not stupid at all. But that's not the stuff I want to talk about today. No, despite all the bullshit, all the political stuff, all the angry rants and controversy, the only thing I wanted to know about this game the entire time is it fun? Or rather, is it balanced? Is it playable at all? Is it at least better than Battlefield 1? Please God, tell me DICE fixed what was wrong with that piece of fucking shit. Well, the beta finally happened, and I got to try the game myself for about a week. To put it simply, Battlefield V has a lot of good ideas, but they're not quite hitting their full potential yet. Let me explain why. Keep in mind that I can't possibly address every single mechanic change in one video in a reasonable amount of time, so I'm only going to go over the things I found most important, or that stood out most to me, that I feel heavily affect the gameplay experience as a whole. So for starters, all the classes feel much more important and unique. Their roles are pretty much unchanged, it's just how vital each of them are that's different. Taking a look at the medic first, health doesn't regenerate anymore, at least not by very much. So when you get into a firefight that you barely make it out of, you need a medic to heal you. Otherwise, the next time you get into a gunfight, you'll be at a massive disadvantage. Medics can actually heal in a variety of ways now. You can throw a small medkit to an injured teammate to heal them on the spot. But, if they're already at full health, throwing a medkit gives them a personal health pack that they can use later when they're on their own. The medical crates act as a portable resupply station for health, where players can just grab medkits as they need them. Alright, resupply stations. So in this game, every objective has these big resupply stations for ammo and health. This means that if nobody is healing you or giving you ammo, you can still resupply yourself if you manage to make it to one of these things. Which is good, since the support class seems to have a serious problem. For some reason, the medic can heal himself with his endless supply of medkits. However, the support can't resupply his own ammo anymore. At least not with the ammo pouches. This means that despite being able to give all your buddies an endless supply of bullets, without another support around, you'll run out of ammo. And it'll happen fast, since BFV has really limited the amount of ammo the game starts you out with. I see a lot of people complaining about this, my friends included, but the ammo restriction doesn't bother me as much. However, it's pretty noticeable how little ammo you have when you're using an LMG to suppress the enemy, only to run out of ammo after spraying down like 2 magazines. I think the support should be able to resupply himself, given his role, even without the ammo box. Especially since how the medkit and ammo pouch are standard for the classes, meaning you can't actually remove them. Yeah, you can have the ammo crate, but you'll always still have to have the ammo pouch as well. This can mean you can miss out on other useful things, like anti-tank mines. This is true for all the classes, actually. The assault can't get rid of its grenade launcher, and the sniper its spotting scope. Now's probably a good time to talk about the way spotting works in this game. In case you're new, spotting in previous Battlefield games worked in a way where any player could look in an enemy's general direction, and by hitting a button, that enemy would be marked on the map. Anyone spotted would have a "please kill me" floating Dorito over their head for about 6 seconds, but in that time a lot of people would target you, because, well, Why wouldn't they? You're literally marked in real time for everyone to see. In Battlefield V, spotting is sort of divided into two different types of spotting. Every class can mark things by hitting right bumper.
Ha, lol, Stan plays on Xbox? What a fucking idiot, I know,
which works in a sort of last known location style. If you target an enemy like this, the marker only tells your team where the enemy was when you saw them, not where they are now. The only class that can track enemies in real time is the Recon, which actually gives the class a real sense of purpose in this game. All the Recon's abilities in the last few Battlefield games have always felt sort of selfish or gimmicky. In Battlefield V, Recon players are actually really vital to your team, and their newfound usefulness as the only capable spotting class might finally break the stereotype of the selfish sniper player that's existed in the community for a long time now. Finally, we come to the Assault class. The Assault class is pretty much the same as it was in Battlefield 1, with the exception of its weaponry. The Assault now has full auto and semi-auto rifles in exchange for the SMGs it had in the last game. Those were given to the medic, by the way. Just like in Battlefield 1, the Assault is the best class for aggressive combat in most situations. The STG-44 feels downright overpowered at most ranges, and the arsenal of explosives at your disposal are the most direct way of fighting tanks. One thing I don't like, though, is that the class only starts with dynamite to combat tanks. I think this is a bad idea, since new players who aren't familiar with the class, or perhaps even the whole game, are unlikely to want to fight tanks directly when they're just starting out. Telling them then that their only way of doing so at the beginning stages of the class is by being 2 feet away from the tank makes them even less likely to want to do it. If they started out with something ranged, not necessarily a bazooka, just something with some range to it, that would probably be better for new players. But overall, infantry combat is pretty great in Battlefield 5. Classes feel balanced, mostly. Teamwork is more important than ever, especially within a squad. But obviously, there's more to Battlefield than just infantry. So how do the vehicles play? So let me confess that I really didn't fly any planes. I don't really enjoy being a pilot in Battlefield games, mostly because I suck. So unfortunately, I'm not able to fairly judge aircraft based on my time in the beta. What I did spend a lot of time with are the tanks. And they've really been reworked. In Battlefield 1, tanks were stupidly easy to use, and overpowered as hell. If a player who even kinda knew what they were doing got into a tank, they would go on insane kill streaks because their repair system was so easy to abuse, and a tank had unlimited ammo. Not anymore. Tanks in Battlefield V are fucking tanks. They're slow and clunky, but they have a lot of firepower and durability to make up for this. The tanks in BFV are the most offensive tanks I've ever seen in the franchise. No longer does your sensitivity affect how fast the gun can rotate. Now all tanks have a set speed at which their guns can be aimed, which means you actually need to put some thought into where you aim. Awareness is key here, and in all honesty, tanks now feel more vulnerable when they're alone. If you're being escorted by a squad of infantry, kinda like how actual tanks work, then things tend to go more smoothly. A lot of people seem to dislike this, but I personally think that relying on infantry support is a fair and authentic change for the tanks in BFV. The main changes to tanks that really rebalance them, though, is how repairs and ammo work. You're no longer able to spam shots at a building until everyone is dead. Tanks can only carry a limited amount of shells now, and when they run out, you have to hit a friendly point to resupply them. This also applies to repairs. You can only repair about 3 or 4 times before you need to go resupply in order to repair again. This system means that a tank can't simply camp a position all game. They'll eventually have to retreat for ammo or repair kits, and without infantry protecting them from attacks in their blind spots, a tank will eventually need to retreat, even if all your squad can manage to do is throw every little explosive you have at it desperately. This means that a battle of attrition against a tank is now a viable strategy, which is a great thing. Tanks shouldn't be overpowered, unyielding beasts, and these changes make tank versus infantry not only more balanced, but more intense due to assaults posing an actual threat to tanks in the game. Now all these changes sound pretty great, right? The game is pretty balanced, give or take a few flaws here and there. All the classes feel fleshed out and useful. Plus, the beta somehow runs better than Battlefield 1 did for the first year of its existence. And it's mostly glitch-free. So why did I say that this game isn't hitting its potential? Well, it's because the Battlefield community isn't really suited for this kind of game right now, and it's showing in the general reception of the beta. Generally speaking, the public isn't finding Battlefield V to be, well, fun. There are plenty of people who don't really enjoy the class changes and heavy emphasis on teamwork that BFE is going for, and even though I don't agree with them, I do understand why they feel this way. Battlefield 1 was easily the most casual entry in the franchise, other than Battlefield Hardline, but we don't talk about that one. Things like elite classes, behemoths, making sniping stupidly easy compared to previous games. All these things had a hand in making BF1 an extremely casual and easy game to pick up and play. And while I'm not gatekeeping, and I'm not against drawing in new players, I think the result of dumbing down the gameplay of each new game to do so has left BFV in a weird place. It's not that I don't think BFV works, it just doesn't work as a sequel to Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1 was so fucking simple, but its immediate sequel is a game where everything is now super teamwork focused. You're gonna go from Battlefield Baby Mode to Battlefield 6 Siege? Are you kidding me? Of course it's not gonna be a smooth transition. Now don't get me wrong, I personally think DICE is really going in the right direction with the mechanics of Battlefield V. Outside of some stupid shit like the weapon upgrade system, which I hope they nerf a bit before the release, everything's pretty great, but the community hasn't been conditioned for this kind of Battlefield game in 2018. Battlefield games have gotten more and more casual, more approachable with each new release. So now, when the series has gotten as close to Call of Duty as it's ever been, they decide to flip the switch and make the series all about teamwork again. And because teamwork is absolutely 100% vital in this game, but you have a community that has spent the last 3 games nearly forgetting teamwork existed at all, you're going to have a player base that is mostly filled with people who are going to play the game as if it's Battlefield 1. And that is a massive issue. A lot of people seem to already dislike this game before it's even been released. And yeah, a lot of people are claiming they won't buy it because of the political stuff, but in combination with that now, you have people who don't want to play it because they prefer Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 4's more casual gameplay. Even friends of mine have said they prefer older Battlefield games to this. And that's just a shame. I like what DICE has going here. I think it's pretty much the ideal Battlefield experience from a gameplay perspective, for me at least. But I think they were too ambitious. I personally believe that if they had made another game in between Battlefield 1 and Battlefield V that resembled something more along the lines of Battlefield 3 or Bad Company 2 in terms of the difficulty and teamwork, then there would be a smoother transition into this new game afterwards. Now obviously I can't say for certain what the release of this game will be like. It could die without enough casual players to support it, or it could just be a mess where nobody playing really understands or cares about teamwork at all. Outside of your squad, I guess. Or it could turn out that only the really hardcore team player fans of the franchise will be interested in BFE at all, and the game won't have this issue at launch, but may suffer from smaller player count. DICE will very likely change several aspects of this game before its launch, rebalancing guns and classes, etc. Personally, I really hope they won't take back too many of the improvements, but finding a middle ground between the gameplay of Battlefield 1 and Battlefield V may just be what the game needs to do in order for it to be enjoyable for everybody who plays it. Until the game officially releases, we won't know for sure. But what I do know is that despite all the controversy, Battlefield is still going to be my go-to multiplayer shooter for a while more. DICE still clearly knows how to make a good multiplayer FPS game. And that's really all I ask from this franchise. I just want Battlefield V to be a good multiplayer FPS game that I can play with my friends and have a good time. But so far, I think this game is shaping up really well. And if you are one of those people who finds the game too tactical, too difficult, or you just think it doesn't feel like a Battlefield game, then I'd recommend trying the game again at launch, and playing it as its own entity, rather than as if it's just Battlefield 1 with a new coat of paint, because it's really, really not. I guarantee that if you go into this game with a willingness to learn and to adapt to its mechanics, then you'll have a really good time, especially if you can get some friends on board to join you. That's really all I have to say for now. So when the game is out, I'll see you on the battlefield. At least I hope. I'm the one true Stan, and I don't know how to read off a script and sound like a human being. Goodbye.